Welcome to another series of Coding Night with Chirag, my friends. And in this episode of Coding Night with Chirag, you are going to learn about the producer consumer problem, the wait method in Java, the notify and notify all method in Java. Right? So this episode of Coding Night with Chirag is going to mark the ending of this legendary multi-threading series. So this video is going to be the last video of Coding Night with Chirag. Sorry, this video is going to be the last video of multi-threading series, right? And having said that, I want to make a confession in front of you guys that I blundered. I committed such a blunder in all the previous videos, my friend. The sensitivity of this mic was set at the lowest, and I kept thinking that maybe the mic quality, the this little mic, maybe the mic quality is pathetic. And little did I know that I couldn't be more wrong. Right? The problem was not with this mic. The problem was with my mind, because I'm pathetic. I'm dyslexic. Okay, I'm kidding. I'm not dyslexic, but yeah, I tried my best to edit the audio of all the previous lectures, and I believe they are good enough now. Right? They are not the best in terms of audio quality, but they are certainly the best in terms of the content quality, my friend. And you are certainly going to enjoy them. You can take my word for this. Right? So, having said that, and having done all the rant that we have done right now, we can certainly proceed to the lecture, right? So let's get started. Okay, my friends. So in order to understand the producer consumer problem, we have to make a class, right? Let's name it producer consumer. Producer consumer, right? So first of all, we are going to create a class X here, right? You can name it anything you want. I'm naming it X because it sounds cool, right? X. Okay. So this class X contains a number num, right? Integer num. And we have two methods here, my friend. One method is public void set. What this method is going to do? This method, as the name suggests, it is going to set the value, update the value of num, right? Int num, and it's simply going to update the value of this num. This dot num is equal to num that we have passed as an argument. Okay, now public void get. This get method is going to return the value. Simply print the value, not return or anything. Simply print the value. Let's say. Okay. So what this is going to print is that the value of cat is this dot num. Right. Pretty simple stuff so far. Let us print here too. Set here plus this dot num. Okay. So pretty simple stuff so far. Okay, so let's create PSVM so really fast, right? And we have to create two other objects as well, right? Two other classes as well. One is class producer, right? Producer method is going to call the set method of the above class. Class producer implements runnable, right? And now, my friend, very important part. I'm going to take a little test of your knowledge, right? So this is giving here a red line, and If you have watched all the previous lectures, you must be knowing why it is. Oh, sorry, I just showed you. Okay, so you must be knowing why this red line is here. Why it is giving this red line, right? So why it is giving this red line? Because runnable method contains an abstract method. Sorry, we are implementing runnable interface here, and runnable interface contains a abstract method, that is run method. So we have to override that method. So public void run. Right? Now that red line is gone. Now we are going to create a consumer class as well. Right? Okay, producer and consumer. This consumer, as I said, this consumer is going to call the set method, right? This producer is going to call the set method and consumer is going to call the get method. So let's do it really fast. First of all, let us create the constructor of this producer class. So producer, this is going to take the x as an object, right? And this dot x is equal to x, right? And let us create a thread, because we have implement runnable interface, right? And what does this runnable interface do? This helps to create thread. So thread, let's say, is equal to new thread. And what does this thread method takes as an argument? It takes a runnable object as an argument, right? And what runnable object do we have here? This, the parent class of this, right? This is the only runnable object we have, right? So we are going to reference it with the help of this, and other argument is of name, right? So let's name it what? Producer thread. Okay, my friend. And after this, let's do t dot start. Okay, okay. So this this run method here is going to update this num constantly. So let us make a int variable, int I is equal to 0, right? And while through infinite loop, through we are going to continuously increase the we are going to continuously update the value, right? So what we are going to do is x dot set I plus plus, right? And after this, let's say after doing this, we are going to take a break. So what we'll do is try thread dot sleep, right? Sleep for, let's say, 1000 milliseconds. And after that, I'm going to catch exception e. Okay, is there anything else left? No. So let's copy the exact same code for this consumer thread as well. But what is going to be the difference here? This consumer thread, is going to consume, right? So we don't have to keep the track of this I, because we don't have to update the value of this x object. So while true is all, what we have to do is we have to call the get method, right? Okay, okay, my friends. So we have consumer at its place, and we have producer at its place. But producer is going to update the value by calling the set method, and this consumer thread is simply going to fetch the value by calling this get method. Pretty simple stuff, right? So let's run it. Let's run it. Right? We are going to create an object x obj equal to new x, right? Okay. Now what we are going to do is new producer, right? New producer and new consumer, and we have to pass this obj inside this obj and obj. Okay, it should work. It is no setting once and getting once, right? Get 0, set 0, and then set once, get once, set once and get once. Here is the fault, right? It is setting 3 and getting 3, and it is setting 4 but not getting anything. Not getting anything, my friends, means they are not working in synchronization with each other. They are just running parallelly, but they are not coordinating with each other, right? They are not, there is no kind of inter-thread communications. We have to facilitate the inter-thread communication between these two threads, the producer thread and consumer thread. Now, how are we going to do it? So, in order to do so, first of all, we must have a check, right? We must have a check that will help us to keep a track whether the producer has done his task or the consumer has done its task, right? So we are going to keep the track of whether the value has been set or not with the help of a boolean flag. So let's name it boolean value set is equal to, and we are going to initialize it with false, right? Okay. So here, what we are going to do, we are going to say, hey, set method, if the value is set, if the value is already been set, then it makes no sense to run this set method, right? And which thread is going to call the set method? Producer thread, right? So we are just saying, we want to say that producer thread, stop here, because there is no need to set the value because the value is already been set. So in case the value set is true, what we are going to do is we are going to call the, drum rolls please, wait method, right? So try wait, sorry, right? And catch exception E and this. Okay. Okay. So we are going to call the try wait method, right? What does this wait method do, my friends? Now is the important part. What this wait method do? This wait method is going to stop the thread from which it's been called, and from which thread this wait will be called, right? The set method, and set method is being called by producer, right? Producer. So it will just pause the producer thread. It will say, hey producer thread, stop right now, because the value is already been set. So wait method will stop the thread from which it's been called. Now you might say that, hey Chirag, sleep method is also doing the same job. What's the difference between the wait method and sleep method then? Okay, let me explain. So sleep method Sleep method was making the thread sleep for a certain amount of time, for a particular amount of time. Let's say 300 millisecond, 400 millisecond, 500 millisecond, whatever we were giving the arguments in milliseconds. It was taking arguments in milliseconds, that I am going to stop the thread for this time only, not more than, not less than that, right? But here, this thing is not taking anything as an argument. Means for this method to be revoked, right? If you want to revoke this wait method, you have to use the which method? The notify or notify all method. We are going to talk about it in the later part, right? We are coming to that part. Wait for it. So this method is not going to revoke itself, right? It is dependent on other thread to be revoked, right? Let me explain it with a weird analogy. Okay, so so let's say you decided to take a nap. There are two scenarios. In first scenario, you decided to take a nap. Let's say you set an alarm clock that I'm going to uh, take the nap for 4 hours only, let's say, right? And considering that you are a pretty disciplined girl, so as soon as the alarm goes off, you wake up without any uh, carelessness, right? In scenario 2, let's say you are very tired and you slept at night and you said, hey mama, it's your job to wake me up in the morning, right? So in the morning, you are dependent on your mom to wake you up, right? Your mom is going to wake you up. So this second case is the wait method, and the first case where you wake up by yourself after a certain amount of time. It's a 4 hours, 3 hours, 2 hours, whatever, right? It is called as it is called as it was basically the sleep case, right? The sleep method case. And in the later case where you are dependent on your mom to wake you up, right? You'll sleep until unless your mom wakes you up. That case is of the wait method, right? Okay. So now this wait method is this wait method concept is clear. Now let's go to notify all. So this is going to depend on notify or notify all method in order to wake this uh, this thread up, right? So we have to notify this thing, and who is going to notify? The other thread. The get thread is going to notify this, right? So we are going to do notify, right? Okay, so now we have notified, and now this thread is working. So after this thread has finished working, this thread has, well, oh wait, okay. So after this thread has finished executing, and what was its job? Its job was to update the value. It has updated the value, and it has also printed the value. Now it is going to set the value set flag as true, right? Because it will say, hey, I've set the value. Now the value set flag is true, and it will notify as well. And to whom it is going to notify? This thing, this get method, right? So we will say here that the while the value is not being set, if the value is not being set, what are we going to get, right? What is there to get if the value is not being set yet? So we are going to wait for the producer thread to set the value. While not value set, we are going to try wait, and catch exception E, right? Okay, okay. So it'll wait for the other thread to set the value, right? And it'll run only and only when the other thread will do its job, and then after that notify, right? Other thread notifies it, so it'll come out of this, wait situation, and it'll do its job. And after doing its job, what it's going to do is it is going to set value set as false, right? Okay, i've I've done the get operation, and now value set is false. Now I'm waiting for, if I'll be called again, I'll wait for the set this producer thread to do its job, right? Okay, okay, so far so good. What's left? Yeah, another thing, we have to make this thing synchronized too. Now, there's a very important question, my friend, that's been framed out of this wait method. It is a very famous interview question, that to which class does this wait method and this notify method belongs, right? So you might blunder this question, because you'll think that this wait thing is similar to sleep thing, right? Sleep method, and sleep method is a method of thread class. So this wait method must be a thread class method. And this is the point, my friend, when your interviewer is going to kick you out of the interview, right? So this wait method, my friend, is the method of what? Object class. Object class, my friend, right? And in case you don't know the object class, so object class is the supreme class, my friend, supreme class, the daddy class, right? Daddy class of all the classes, right? So object class, every other class in Java, my friend, inherits object class, right? So even if you create a class, let's say, that does not inherit any other class, even that class is going to be by default inheriting the object class. So you can think the object class as that philanthropist of the city that takes the responsibility of all the orphans in the city, right? So the object class, whenever someone asks you that what is object class, you can straight away say that object class is the daddy class of all the classes, right? So every other class inherits the object class. Okay, so whenever your interview asks you that what is object class, you simply have to answer him that object class is the daddy class of all the classes, period. Just kidding. Don't say it. Otherwise, your interviewer is going to kick you out of the interview, right? Then don't come to me and say that, Chirag, you said to say the object class as the daddy class. No, answer it accordingly. Okay. So we have talked about object class as well. What else? Let us run this thing now. Why it is taking so long to get compiled? Okay. So setter is setting, getter is getting, setter is setting, getter is getting, setter is setting 2, getter is getting 2, right? Setting 3, getter is getting 3.
A few inches later.
Setter is getting 4, or setter is setting 4, getter is getting 4, right? So it is working in synchronization, my friend. Even if I blender the timing of these two threads, let's say I make one thread to wait to wait 100 millisecond and other to wait 3 second, right? Even then it is going to wait for each other. They are going to wait for each other. Look, setter is setting, getter is getting, and setter is setting, although the get method is taking too long, but still it is waiting for it, right? So this is how it works. Let me make you go through the dry run really fast. So what is happening here is, as you are starting the thread, right? As you are starting the thread here, this producer thread is going to straight away call the set method, right? So here's the set method, right? What this set method is doing, it is saying if the value set is true, if the value is already been set, then you simply have to wait. A producer thread, wait for the consumer thread to consume first, right? So it will wait, right? Wait until or unless the consumer thread will call notify. So this sets wait will wait until the consumer thread calls the notify method, right? Then after that, after the waiting is over, after the consumer thread calls the notify method, you are going to simply set the value, right? That's what get set method is meant to do, right? After that, you'll set this num, right? And after that, you are setting the value set flag as true. Like, dude, I've set the value, right? Now the value set is true. Now, now I'll not call the, I'll not let the set method to run again until unless the get method is being run, right? So after that, the notify method will be called. That hey, I've done my job. Now it's your turn, consumer thread, right? So this notify thread will notify this wait method. If this wait method was stuck, then only this notify method is going to call this thread. Basically, the notify's job is to open the wait condition of the other thread, right? So this notify method is opening the wait condition of this thread, and this notify method is going to open the wait condition of this thread, right? And I've already explained what the wait condition is, right? So that's all, my friends. I hope I've done a good job of explaining you all this concept, right? So that's all. And yeah, write it once by your own and you'll understand in a much better way. And if still you don't understand how this thing is working, then what you can do is, it is quite an effective method of getting this thing into your brain. And that method is, what you have to do is you have to subscribe a channel on YouTube that goes by the name Dynamic Chirag, right? So after that, it is quite effective method. After that, you'll easily understand all this concept very easily, right? You can definitely give it a try. I'm damn sure that it is going to work, right? And even if still it doesn't work, what you can do is you can like this particular video and share it with your friends. Then you'll understand this thing for sure, right? So yeah, that's all. And good night, my friends.